This call is being recorded.
Welcome to Ask Lynn, everyone. Today I have David with me. I had the pleasure of being on his podcast. So by the time you guys listen to this, you guys should go listen to my interview. And now I have the pleasure of interviewing him. So I'm going to let David take it away and explain more about him and what he does.
Thank you for having me, Win. I appreciate being on the show. I am actually a current middle school teacher. I was once a three-sport athlete when I was younger. I played baseball, football, and I was a cyclist. And I also, during my part-time away from the classroom, I also do some motivational speaking. And I just like to, be able to motivate people and instill motivation in others. And I hope to provide insight and knowledge into what I do, and hope we have fun today in this interview.
Did I forget to mention David also has cerebral palsy? I forgot to
Yes, I
mention
do.
that. I forgot to mention that. I didn't mean to forget that. I was waiting to see if David said it, but apparently not. So David treats himself as I treat myself. I consider myself a able-bodied woman with whose body's trapped inside cerebral palsy. You guys know that by now. And so, David, what started your journey on getting you into being physically fit?
Well, this all started, I say give or take 15, 16 years ago. I was used to be one of those kids that didn't really work out. I was very, very lazy, wanted to sit at home all day and lounge around. And I went to a doctor's appointment one day, and the doctor had mentioned, if you keep this sedentary lifestyle, you could end up back in a wheelchair. Which the first part of my life was I was in a confined to a wheelchair. Didn't really, couldn't really walk or anything like that. And then I started walking, but I wasn't really working out. So the doctor says, you have to change the way that you live by moving more, engaging in physical activity, and that's what kind of got me into fitness and into sports.
So that doctor's appointment basically turned your life around.
Yep, it was a wake up call. Had I not gone
Yeah.
to that doctor's appointment, I could have been still sedentary and possibly in a wheelchair. So I'm glad I actually went.
Yeah. Well, doctor's appointments tend to do that. They tend to turn our lives around in um, in the general public setting too.
Exactly. Don't negate going to the doctor because it could be your one lifeline to change your life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I haven't admitted my other disability now, but I will. I admitted one to you guys just because I was so traumatized by it, although it wasn't a surprise to me. And I was so traumatized by it. I haven't admitted my other disability yet to you guys, but maybe I will once I get out of the living situation I'm in now and have more capabilities to talk about it, because right now I'm dealing with not only cerebral palsy but 3 other disabilities, 1 minor, 2 major disabilities, all in the body of cerebral palsy. And it kind of freaks me out when doctors tell you those things. But we do what we have to do. And so, David, what is the why did you go into teaching in the first place?
I went into teaching because of my stepmom. She was my number one supporter at the very beginning of my life. She educated me. She helped me get into mainstream education. And as time progressed and I became older, I started seeing the influence that she would give kids with disabilities herself, because she used to be, or she still is, a teacher for students with various physical and intellectual disabilities. And seeing her give the kind of impact, the positive impact that she gave those children in the classroom, it made me realize maybe it's something I could do. I could do the same thing and be as impactful as she is. And so she was kind of a main influence as to why I got into education.
Yeah. Well, if you have a teacher before you that can influence you, that's a good thing. And if you had to walk in someone else's shoes, let's say for 2 weeks, who would it be?
If I could definitely walk into someone's shoes for two weeks,
Yes.
it would have to be uh, definitely, if I could just be like, be in that classroom, with if I could be I guess an ESE student, being in that classroom for 2 weeks and see how they are, how they struggle, I would definitely do that, because most people don't realize that those kids in that environment struggle more than you think, and they're not getting the adequate help that is necessary for them to thrive. So if I could be in there and see how they are for 2 weeks, I'll definitely do it.
Are you talking about English as a second language, or are you talking about totally different special ed?
The totally different special ed, so more like developmentally delayed, or
Ah,
suffering from a
ah,
physical impairment.
okay. Ah, I because when you said ESC, I didn't know what you meant. Now I do. So you want to walk in ESC shoes for 2 weeks just to figure out how they're processing, and in the long run, maybe after that 2 weeks, maybe that you, would come out as a better teacher knowing how they struggle, and so maybe you can help them just a little bit more.
Exactly.
Ah,
Be-
well, I like that plan. I like that plan, and if you had to meet a person dead or alive, who would it be?
Meet a person dead or alive. Definitely, if I could think of an idol, let's see. I have so many, like I can think of off the top of my head. Stephen Hawking,
Stephen
definitely Stephen
Hawking.
Hawking.
There we go. There we go. If you guys Google Stephen Hawking, you'll see who David is talking about. Stephen Hawking had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, which, by the way, I'm still after a year of, well, it's 2 years now of searching for someone with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. I still haven't found my interview yet, but that's number one. Still looking for. But Stephen Hawking had ALS, and Stephen Hawking was an amazing, 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 amazing scientist who lost the capability to. He actually lost the capability of everything, including his speech, but how he was making scientific predictions was through eye movements in the form of a assistive device, a Frankie Muniz assistive device. I mean, his Liberator was huge. It was not the size of the iPad that people use nowadays. Um, his Liberator took up a huge amount of space, but yet he was so bright beyond belief to make scientific predictions and mathematical predictions that people are amazed by him. So, yes, Stephen Hawking would be a good idol to have. And David, if what was the one thing you learned during the pandemic?
One thing I learned is how to be really patient. How to be really patient.
How to be
Um,
really
how
patient.
to deal with,
That's what
I
you
guess,
said.
isolation, and just to be, because a lot of the times things were just haywire. Like even now, currently to the situation where I'm now, where I'm back in the classroom, I have to be extra patient in terms of dealing with, students, in terms of making sure everybody's safe, whether at home or at school, keeping myself safe. Self care, that's really important. It taught me to really take care of myself, to really just watch out for others.
Yes, I think the pandemic in general taught all of us how to slow down and how to take better care of ourselves. At least it did me. I mean, I got diagnosed with my two disabilities after the pandemic, but because of pandemic self-care, I now and it gave me a lot of time to to reflect on my future. And as of March 1, I'll be stepping into my future. I'll be moving out of state and moving to a totally different um, housing facility and totally different lifestyle. So I think the pandemic gave us a lot of, do we really want to be here? Do we really want to be doing this job? Do we really want to be doing what we're doing now? Or is it time to pivot the career? And I think it really, even though it took a toll on, and it still will, even though it took a toll on people with disabilities, I think it was a stop and smell the roses moment for all of us as far as self care and really reflecting on our lives, and do we want to be in the same lives that we are now, are completely different ones.
Exactly. But sometimes when you think about change and moving and a whole different environment, sometimes that's the best thing to do. Like, just to get away from all the negativity and just to start over. It always feels good to do that.
Yeah, and it will be good. Um, this physical move will be good for me, you guys, and it will be good. I'm also scared of death because of not knowing the systems, but this physical move as of March 1 will be great for me just because it's a new surrounding, it's a new environment that I'm not used to install me into a new environment. I thrive. So when you think about moving, or when you think about really reflecting on your life, you should take the time and write down the pros and cons. And if you have time, in my case, I really didn't have time. I really didn't have time to write down the pros and cons. And in my case, I was making another plan, and then a plot twist came, and then that as a plan got put on back burner. But and now this plan B, which is now turning into physical plan B, is coming into fruition, and I'm really excited about that. So, what excites you, David, after the pandemic is all over? When the pandemic is all over, what excites you to get back to be doing?
Definitely, first and foremost, getting back into my normal gym routine, getting back into the gym physically. Uh, Next would be being able to do public speaking appearances, just being out there physically, getting to talk to people and just meeting people and networking. I love doing the virtual aspect of it, speaking via Zoom and all, but it's not the same as you being there, touching people's lives in person, you know?
No, no, it's not the same. It's not the same. No, I was lucky enough to go to my first, not my last either, my first conference the week before the pandemic, and I am so excited to go back. I'm trying my hardest with the mess of a move to go and do this, because networking in person is not the same as networking on Zoom.
De- Definitely, and it's there's something about being able to speak in person that you don't get when you speak in Zoom. I mean, you miss out on a lot of the reactions that a crowd gives you. Whether it's a cheer or a negative reaction, you miss all of that.
Yes, you miss all of that. You miss the body language, even though sitting down in a chair, you miss the body language, because all you are saying, all the general public is saying now, is from the neck up.
That and I love being able to interact with the audience and with the fans afterwards. Being able to take pictures or have a conversation with them. That's the best part about it. Being able to share. Being able to not just share your knowledge, but being able to hear their side of the story and how they felt about what we were discussing. During the conference.
Yeah, exactly. And I will let you guys know if my conference actually happens. I'm working on that as of this week, and I need to figure out the logistical end of it. But I will let you guys know if my conference will actually happen, and then um, I may take some self care after I may take some self care during my conference time, but we'll see. We will see, and then I'll let you guys know if this conference actually happened, for me at least. I know the conference is actually going to be on. I heard that this morning, and so we'll see if I make it down to a conference. But as I said, this will be the first conference that I will go back down to since the pandemic.
Definitely, and I'm excited to hear more about it.
I will. I
Seeing you
will.
really succeed.
Share with you guys. And so, David, as we wrap this interview up, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, of course. I know recently, I don't know if you've heard about the lottery and how I guess someone won the millions of dollars in a jackpot, and I was asking myself, what would Win do if she won that kind of money? How would you, I guess, invest it?
If I, well, in my dream situation, I would put it in put it in a place where I couldn't get access to it. Number one, I would put half of it in a place where I couldn't get access to it. Just just so I would have it. The other the other half I would put boots on the ground and start a non-profit, or maybe go into a special ed classroom or classroom in general and give teachers 100 bucks and say, "Oh, take your kids for the day, go go spend this 100 bucks on yourself, not on school supplies, thank you very much," because David, as you know, and as I know from now retired educator, always a journalist, retired educator, teachers land up spending over over $1,000 of their own money on school supplies. And even though the schools give us a budget, well, when that budget runs out, who does it land on? It lands on the teacher themselves. And these kids and these parents are looking at um, these teachers nowadays to come up with the lesson plans. So I would put half of it in, I would reinvest half of it in education or a nonprofit for those with disabilities, particularly cerebral palsy and particularly asthma. And so I would reinvest half of it either in a nonprofit or in the education sector, and also keep half of it for myself just in case I need it.
That sounds like an awesome plan. We don't have very many nonprofits that are geared towards education nowadays. Most of it is geared towards other I guess other entities that we deal with. Whether disabilities, whether could be with wildlife, could be with all kinds of things. But education, that's really rare. Um, Another question I had for you is, I know I read about you and you mentioned that you were an athlete back in the day. Would you ever, I guess, compete again, or is
I,
that pretty much
I,
out the window?
I would. I would. It would have to be with a totally different theme. I would. Um, it wouldn't be doing the Kona Ironman, that's for sure. But I would do Ironman. I would do a Ironman any day as long as I'm set up with the appropriate team. And the reason why I keep hinting at this story is when I am alone in my own house, you guys will hear why I will. You guys will understand why I have to be so discreet about a lot of things in my life. And there's going to be many story hours on Ask Win that can come out in once I'm on my own. And one of them is going to be why I quit being a triathlete, and it broke my heart. It literally broke my heart. Um, not to be a triathlete, but it the timing. I was I was, and very few people know this, I was set up in a position not to succeed at my best. I was put in a position um, not to succeed at my best. And I hope to do a triathlon in either Florida or Arizona one of these days. It would have to be with a totally different team. It would have to be, I would have to get myself back in physical shape to do it. But no, that's not out of the question. That's not out of the question at all. I just need to be set up with a totally different team.
And my final question is, how? I mean, I've been able to speak with you and get to know you over time, but how do people describe you as an individual?
That that's a good one. And I I would say, well, people people know this about me. I care about people to the 10th degree. And the story goes, and this was when I was young, mind you, um, at 5 and 6 years old, I was asking adults how they were and how everyone else was around me. And people would describe me as a very caring person, and I'm going to have to ask a friend of mine who knows me once I get to Arizona how people would describe me because I don't I don't know. Man, David, you stumped me because I don't know. I know how I would describe myself, but I people would say that I'm a very caring person and I get what I want due to I for those of you who believe in astrology, I'm a Cancer, and Cancers or water signs, we are emotional. When we get pushed, oh boy, it's like the waterworks come out, and when we get pushed, it's like there's no turning back. And so, me being a Cancer and me having a little bit of Capricorn mixed in there for good measure, Capricorns get what they want. So that's why I get what I want. I wanted to be living independently, which I'm getting, but I'm getting in a totally different thing that I had planned. I had planned out. I had planned out my future. But all in all, people would describe me as an outgoing person and a caring person, which I think for not being able to be able-bodied, I think I do a pretty good job in explaining, in showing the empathetic side and caring about others and worrying about others. I mean, and in return, I'm very, very blessed to have the support team that I do, and I will be forever grateful for the support team that I do have up here, and that all will be ending as of March 1, and then I'll establish a new support team in the state of Arizona. But for people that don't know me and know me from the outside in, they know the sweet and caring side of when they don't know how much I struggle. How and I'm not talking about mentally, I'm talking about physically. Mentally, I do struggle a little bit just because I am an orphan and I have no parents, and that's that's why I'm leaving to go get more secure care. And that's there's another piece to that puzzle, which you guys will find out, um, that I need to go find better care, and this is the way to do it. And this is how I'm going to do it. But people will never understand with cerebral palsy how we put the brave face on and we put mask on and tell people that we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. And then at the end of the day, I don't know about you, David, but me certainly, there are days I break down and say, I can't do this anymore. It's too it's too frustrating. I mean, I can barely, and people know this, I can barely open a plastic bag, let alone tie my own shoes. And so I can barely open a plastic bag. That's how poor my dexterity is. And so nowadays I do burst into tears. There are other days I take it in stride. Um, when I do burst into tears, I typically do it um, behind the scenes, and then I think how great how blessed I am to have what I have in my life, and then I'm perfectly fine.
Um, Based off what you said, I wholeheartedly agree 100%, and based off what I guess, we've talked about between my show and your show is what we have both accomplished is incredible. It's above and beyond what people least expect, and like I always mention, uh, we're always criticized and being told we can't go above and beyond our limits physically. And here we are, you as a former educator, me in the classroom, both podcasters, both former athletes. You're an author. I'm hoping to become one day. And a lot of people realize we could. I mean, we could right now sit here and pity ourselves and be like, you know, I just want people to pity me. I want all these handouts. I don't want to work for it. But instead, we take the positive route. You know, we take that route of, hey, if I can still move, if I'm still healthy, then I can do my goals. It might take me longer, but I'll get things done.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I will let you guys know why. There's a reason why I'm going to get good care, and I would suggest for those of you that still have parents and you are a parent of a disabled child, get the care in place now. And because you never know when your last day on earth will be. And I have learned so much in 2019 and 2020 and 2021 that the beginning of 2021 that finally I decided. I put my foot down. I said to people, this is what I want. This is how I'm going to get it. And they agreed with me. And then another plan came into place. And now, as of March 1, I'm doing that as a plan. But I would say if you are a parent of a disabled child and you still have the cognitive abilities to make a will, thank you very much. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it now. Have those meetings. Have those meetings of what your child's future care is going to look like, because if you don't do it, no one else will. And then once you pass away, people will be looking at your child and saying, "Help me, help me, help me," and without the wills and without the paperwork put in place, they can't really help you. They can try to the best of their abilities, but they can't really help you. So therefore, you're stuck holding a bag, so to speak, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do next? And you think living through a pandemic is tough. Imagine losing both your parents and then having to deal with the loss of one parent and then the loss of another, and the loss of another let's just put it this way, it put me in a very awkward and a weird position. And now at the beginning of 2021, I'm finally getting myself out of that awkward and weird position. But if my parents had sat people down in general, including me, and said, "Well, what do you want? Who, what do you want? Who's going to take care of you? Who do you want to take care of you? Who is going to take care of you?" Then I would have known who's going to take care of me. Instead, I we as a family got thrown into a position where I never ever want anyone else to be, and I'll be explaining why more in Arizona. But I never want the next generation behind me to be stuck in this position. I mean, I said week one, I said this was my father passed away on May 19th. This was in July, a month after he passed. I remember sitting on a Zoom with a couple of dear friends of mine. And at the time, I didn't know I was in a flaw of grief. I was grieving slash trying to deal with my stuff slash his stuff slash every which way. And so I remember on that podcast interview saying to people, get your stuff organized now. And the people who were interviewing me said, really, Win? That's a great point. And I said, well, so many people should sit down in 2021 with their families and get their disabled child care organized so when they pass away, the disabled child slash the new caregiver, so to speak, knows what they're doing and doesn't have to be thrown into this mess of not only taking care of a disabled child, but taking care of a house too. And so, yeah, and so that's why I'm seeking better care in Arizona, and I'll explain more once I'm in Arizona why I had to make a decision and make a decision quick, and as to what I want to do with the future of my own life. And so as we record this episode on January 24th of 2021, I would say get your stuff organized now, have those family meetings, involve the loved ones, even involve the friends of your child if you have to, even involve family friends. I mean, family friends have been great to me. They have also been horrible to me, but that's beside the point. The ones that have been great to me, I will be forever grateful for, and I am ever grateful for the manpower I have and the manpower to help me physically on a daily basis.
Um, de- uh, Definitely, first and foremost, my condolences to you and to your family. And I know what it's like to lose a loved one close by. It's never easy. Like my biological mom passed away 22 years ago, and to this day, it still hurts. But I realize that she's in a better place, and the reason she's where she's at now is it's given me so many opportunities to thrive and to do better. And a lot of people think that just because someone passes away, that life just stops. And in reality, you have to think that if you have a family member that passes away, you have to use that as motivation to move forward, to find ways to work on yourself, become a self advocate, be proud of what you've accomplished because you're making them proud. And
Yeah.
that's what I do every day is that my biological mom may be gone, but her spirit and her legacy lives within me and everything I do. And I know she's looking down and she's proud of me. So that's how I always see things. I don't see death as a horrible thing. I see it as a way to just celebrate being grateful for everything that we have.
And David, where can people find you if they choose to do so?
You can find me on YouTube under David Cerebral Palsy and Fitness channel. You can find me on iTunes under uh, Cerebral Palsy and Fitness podcast. You can also find me on Facebook under David CP Fitness and under Twitter under David CP Fitness.
You're all over the place. You're,
I am.
and if you guys want to um, talk to David about cerebral palsy, he's more than welcome to have you on his show. And please, please, please go subscribe to his show and also leave a review for his show, even though it doesn't help get you into the top rated iTunes charts. It does help more people find out about cerebral palsy awareness, and this is why I started what I started, because um, people know cerebral palsy as a childhood neurological disability. They don't know cerebral palsy as a adult disability. They forget that these cute little kids with cerebral palsy grow up into adults. And so that's why I'm still trying to educate people on a daily basis with cerebral palsy, and I've been lucky enough to be interviewed, and my mission is to educate people on cerebral palsy and now asthma and now sleep apnea. And my mission is also to educate people about what it's really like to be living with a disability. And I have a fascinating interview coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to tell you guys who it is with. I'm not going to tell you guys what we're talking about, but buckle up. Basically, that's what I'm going to say. We're going to get to the nitty gritty of cerebral palsy, and buckle up, because it's going to be raw, it's going to be real, and we're trying to organize it right now. And so when it comes out, it will be fascinating for you guys to understand what it's really like taking care of a person with cerebral palsy on a daily basis. And so buckle up and just be prepared for the amazing adventure called life. And you guys can find me all over the place. You guys are more than welcome to share this episode out and subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I will catch you guys later. Bye, you guys. Thanks, you guys.